unemployable dog, although true and sincere, who could never excel in her racing career, prematurely retiring to occupy space as an exquisite body and beautiful face. You have nothing to do to replace what you lack from the days where you laboured to conquer the track. In perpetual training with rigid routine for enhancing your muscles and making you lean, for outrunning all others who covet the lead with a heightened desire for invincible speed. You were quickened with zeal for the chase and the game, and you would have done well if you hadn't been lame. You're a sprinter, a pistard of leaping attack, who's exclusively bred for the hunt and the track, with a purpose that marries your predatory zeal to the sporting excitements of human appeal. But your circumstance now is a cosmos apart. You indulge among music, discussion and art. You dispose yourself idly and cosset your head upon somebody's lap or luxurious bed. You've become so complacent. To wag is a strain. You're reluctant so much as to walk in the rain. You despise every cloth of inferior ilk. You're accustomed to damask or velvet or silk, never hessian or jute or synthetic material, only the richest, most lush and ethereal. Nor would you even believe or conceive that a textile exists of inferior weave. So inured to the soft is your delicate snout, that it calls for a cushion to lay itself out. And although on a walk you recover your zeal in the search for a creature to serve as a meal, you're mostly an idle and indolent pooch, who's configured to cuddle, to sleep and to mooch. And because you're unable to hunt and to chase, you're deprived of the purpose of winning a race, and yet also some natural purpose beyond, to which animal instincts are meant to respond. There's no motive for her to head up at the front in the sanguine pursuit of the bloodthirsty hunt. She's deprived of a function that goes with her breed, that's genetically built for the ritual of speed. In the absence of gory delight in pursuit, in which all of her senses are primed and acute, she's lethargic and docile, unwilling to move, when the stretch of her legs has so little to prove. Can you do something? Act, have a purpose and hark, have a meaningful role that enjoins you to bark. But you do have a role. It's to tell us instead that we find full contentment in meal times and bed, that a purpose is futile and projects are vain when they struggle beyond the domestic domain. One is happier stripped of a purpose or goal that requires your attendance to stay in control. You're untouched by your powerless predisposition. You only make plans for a static condition. But in this tranquility, in this repose, where the absence of purpose so patently shows. We receive reassurance, we're flattered and cheered that the void of ambition is not what we feared, that our worries in not being fully engaged can be settled and more understandingly gauged. You're a lazy and ontology gifted with peace and contained by your very contented release. You're conditioned for trumping the vacuum, the void, for discovering the case to remain unemployed, for negating the nothingness. This is your calling, to make a delight out of something appalling, to lavish with cuteness a pointless existence, to argue a noble and gentle resistance against teleology. Cuteness prevails against all of the purposeful, stressful travails. And the need for ambition with purposeful goal existentially sinks in a comforting hole. In a human, this blithe existential contempt wouldn't seem to make anyone justly exempt. We'd be anxious that ethics and answerability slip from responsible, noble humility. Here, though, the privilege of being a dog, where there's no expectation of labour or slog, lets you ponder the natural life that we'd know in the age before shovel and sickle and hoe, when ambitions or purpose would only arise when the vagabond tribe became low on supplies, whereupon we would gather our muscles and seek the available victuals to last for the week. I'm in touch with this primitive instinct through her and enjoy the repose that her stretches confer, as she turns the interior into a den for a feast and a snooze for exhausting our yen. In the house that our dogs have defined as a cave, there are plenty of natural instincts to save. The most exigent purpose that greyhounds can serve is providing support for your fibre and nerve. To propose a community, group or a mob where there's only ourselves and our bills and our job. Disconnected and lone individuals at home who are tied to a screen or an unwritten tome. To this grand technological alienation, the dog provides substitute socialization. She pushes your insular consciousness back and restores to your oneness the thrill of the pack, where she seems to do nothing but watching my feet, and like me is reluctant to spring from her seat. When she's sleeping or panting or snooting for charity, still she expresses an old solidarity, keeping it close by a primitive bond that is safe from the world and the dangers beyond. Her adorable purpose is clear and unique. It's to knit the affections that tighten our clique, to extend her companionship right to the border, where campsite and world have a contrary order. Her presence as dog adds a primitive heart to the margin where campfires and wilderness part. In this intimate realm where the dog lays her head, and where alien spirits and wolves never tread, we enjoy a togetherness stamped in the brain that the canine and human will always retain. Evolution and breeding have changed our design, so our disparate natures adjust and align. She suppresses her instincts. She's captive and free, disengaged from her nature, but fervent for me. She's a vessel of passion and rich sublimation that builds a robust and elastic relation, a graft upon humans, a hybrid pastiche of a beast who reveres the restraint of the leash, who discards her immediate stakes and adores no commitment to interests unless it's to yours. And for us, we are also perverted and gain a most infantile chatter that's hard to explain. Inarticulate noises, repeated refrains that are made by a creature of minuscule brains. We're reduced to the imbecile, blathering words that have even less sense than the chirping of birds. A perversion of language, a lexical mockery, even less deep than the clatter of crockery. Jabbering nonsense and quaint motherese, we make language that's struck with a senile disease. If the utterance means something, nothing is gained for the dog who has not been grammatically trained. It is more of a farce to talk sense than to prattle, with gasping and mooing belonging to cattle. To talk in a language to dogs is absurd. The excited intelligence cannot be heard. When I tell her my business, I feel that it's sad that my wits have succumbed and I'm finally mad. Or perhaps such a habit of talking to her, when there's nothing of meaning or sense to transfer, is to talk to myself. I possess the excuse to be senile and mutter without any use. It's addressed to a friend, and so nobody knows that there isn't a point to the copious prose, that her hearing is fine, but the words are obscure to a dog who finds meaning in rot and manure. On the pretext withal that I speak to my friend, I can blether and jabber and gab without end. There is no one to call me to senses and say, please desist and shut up, close your mouth, go away. Such a handy commodity comes with this dog. When I amble or walk, when I dawdle or jog, I can talk with preposterous, heedless impunity, take the gratuitous, warped opportunity, never constrained to say something sagacious, but prolix and garrulous, windy, loquacious, indulging an endlessly voluble prate that attests to a rabid and doddery state. In the pre-modern age, we got rabies from dogs, whereas now they're corrupting our cerebral cogs with behavioural softness and sentimentality, skewing our moral regard for reality. Morbidly, through the affections, the blight spreads contagion to sense and makes everything trite. The infection is past in a way that is faster from sanitized dog to delirious master, a weakness and fondness that addle the brain, and like primitive rabidness, turn you insane. The insanity reaches a level of crime when it comes to the way that she peculates time. Without pressure or any resources of power, she slyly, deceitfully embezzles the hour. She denudes me of time with her winsome address to the nominal freedom that's all I possess. With her guilefully melting and lovable gaze that relieves me of time in her fraudulent ways. In the main, the conniving, encrypted demand is a kind of legitimate, sanctioned command. It's a reasonable ask. It's to go for a walk. And so how can I shirk, be resistant, or balk? It's her right by a canine and anthropoid creed. It's essential, a doggish requirement and need. What a positive thing that I've come to resist. On no day in our lives can this ritual be missed. When we go for a walk, which is pleasant enough, I consign to the winds all poetical stuff. It is pointless to think of poetical things like a servant who dreams of the leisure of kings. It's a vacuum in time that was meant for production, a fallow duration of mental obstruction, where all that you're able to ponder or think is collecting the poo and avoiding its stink. What a terrible literary crappy pastiche would arise from confusing the lyre and the leash. It is better to leave it and not even try, but to wave the poetic temptation goodbye. I'm resigned to computing the literary cost. Every walk is a satire or rhapsody lost. I can measure my steps by the metrical line. They're the words and the feet that I sadly resign. While the pair of us settled to tramping the street, they're the verses that die in our regular beat. All the stateliest anapests strewn by the road, where the pen and the concepts had previously otherwise flowed. I have nothing to boast of or claim in exchange, and the footsteps are something that fortune can't change. Paradoxical dog of immense contradictions, defying our logical skill in depictions. Adorable dog with symmetrical stripes, who embodies so many and disparate types. A Hyrcanian tigress when able to roam. She's a placid, affectionate angel at home. In the street, her awareness is at an extreme. In the home, she can only make cuddles and dream. On our bed, she's serene and contented and still. In the winds, she's infused with the zeal for the kill. In a moment, her melting appeal is displaced as the prospect of killing engages her taste. Very little restrains her, no truncheon or bat, from the chances of killing an arrogant cat. Only muzzle and lead made of powerful steel can contain her attack with its blood-chilling squeal. In the hunt, she's aggressive to heightened degree that seems fired with a frenzy of murderous glee. Such a saccharine pooch, such a saccharine, sweet and agreeable dog, to attack and to murder an innocent mog. She is nasty and nice in that odd combination, defining the human and canine relation, at once the delight of an intimate dream and the terror of gore at her lupine extreme. She perplexes us greatly, and how we adore such a creature devoted to cuddles and gore, is a mystery cloaked in aesthetic obscurity. Beauty maintains her enchanted security, basking in stripes of a brindle-streaked grain. She's already a marble, she's already like marble of Parian vein, an Olympian sculpture of instinct and passion, who keeps us in wonder and also compassion. Good night, gentle greyhound. Enough of this talk. I need sleep for tomorrow's obligatory walk.